Hello, and welcome to another episode of Automate Office Work. I'm your host, Justin, a techie lawyer. I automated all of my office work, and now I'm here to help you to continue or start on your journey as well. Today's topic is educational platform. So let me tell you how I came upon this. Many of you know that my website, automateofficework.com, has lots and lots of resources, or loads and loads of resources if you're from the UK. And so much so that it might be overwhelming for people who are just trying to start out and need a kind of a guided experience. So I was meeting with a lawyer, I guess a couple of weeks ago now, but she was very experienced in her career, about 20 years into her career, I believe. And when ChatGPT came out, she decided she needs to pivot to technology. And so she took upon herself to take an 18-month course in prompt engineering for lawyers. So I applaud her. Anyone who is committed to improving their skills and so forth, please go and do that. But she finished the course after 18 months, and she decided she wants to change her career. She wants to be working in kinds of like systems and processes. She wants to be helping people to improve their business processes or their work processes. And so she decided to do it herself, to improve her own work processes first, to kind of practice. So she sat down at the computer, she opened up ChatGPT. She said she had learned thousands upon thousands of tricks of how to massage ChatGPT to get exactly the answers that she wants to get out of it. And she sat down and she said she had no idea how any of what she learned applied to actually improving work. She said she didn't know the first thing about identifying a problem, about identifying workflows, about improving workflows. She had no idea where to start. And so she reached out to me to ask for my advice. I told her what she's missing is the basics, those things like being able to identify a problem. Don't just start with the tools first. You need to start with your problem. You define your problem so well that it points to the solution, because a solution is anything that solves the problem. And then you bring in whatever tools are appropriate for implementing that solution. You use whatever you have, you start where you are, you do what you can. You do not start with the tool first. That is backwards. And so she agreed with me and she asked, well, how can I learn the basics? And I said, I have a website. You can go to my website and you can learn, because there is so much that I've given. Well, I let her go and I had to think about it. And I thought, my website has so many resources. What it really lacks is a kind of a guided experience to help people learn. And I got to thinking, I need something like an online educational course. So I started looking around, seeing which ones exist. There's things like Udemy. There's Coursera. There are all different kinds of websites where you can create your online courses. I didn't find any that exactly fit what I need, so I decided to create my own. I'm going to show it. For those of you who are watching on YouTube or LinkedIn or Spotify, you can see my screen. For everyone else on Apple Podcasts or just listening to audio only, I will try to describe what I'm showing on my screen so you can also enjoy listening to this. Okay, so I created it at automateofficework.com/academy. And I go to here, and let's see, I am already logged in, so it brings me to the courses. I'm going to log out so you can see what this looks like when a person is not logged in. And I do have a dark screen mode that we can turn on and off. So this is what it looks like. We've got a really nice splash screen. It has a nice logo. It says Automate Office Work Academy. A couple of buttons underneath to log in and sign up. When you click on those, you get a pop-up to sign up. You create an account, log in. Of course, you use your email and your password. There's also a forgot password. I can also, I've got a little tagline underneath that says, learn how to get automation done. And a button underneath that says browse courses. So even without logging in or anything, you can click on browse courses. And it's going to go to automateofficework.com/academy/courses. And there's a course catalog here. There's only one course that's available. It's a course on workflows, automate your world. It says learn how to think in processes, map workflows, and identify automation opportunities across 8 modules and a capstone project. So this is going to be quite a large, what do I call this? A course, yes. Okay, so I'll click on this and it takes me to /academy/courses/workflows. So now I have a table of contents here for this course. I only have 5 modules that are currently visible, but I did say in the summary that there will be 8 and a capstone project. Let's see what else. On this page, there's a nice thumbnail to capture this course. It has the name and the summary. There's a table of contents underneath with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modules and the title of each module. So like the very first one says, welcome to the course. I will also note that in the top right corner, there is a purchase button. So it says purchase €0. So this course is free right now. And maybe I'll talk about how to connect payment systems with this, because I also did that. So I could charge a price to these. But okay, let's go to the very first module, welcome to the course. We now go to /academy/courses/workflows/1. So now we're on a module page. It says workflows automate your world. There's a link so we can go back to the table of contents. And it says 1, welcome to the course. So we've got the title of this module up there. And along the left, we have a table of contents. These are what I call screens. These are going to be lessons and quizzes as you go through the module. So this module is the welcome to the course module, and the very first screen is welcome. After that, there's a screen for meet your instructor and why this matters, what you will learn, what to expect, how to succeed in this course, prerequisites, a module 1 quiz, and a recap, and a final message. It says, you've got this. So the user goes through all of these screens. They can read. There's some nice pictures that they can watch. They can click on the next button, and you've got the next screen. Talks about me, introduces me, and why this course matters. You keep going next and next and next. Let's see if I might not have a quiz. Yeah, the quiz isn't set up yet. Let's see if the prerequisites. No, nothing there. Recap, you've got this. So I'm working on the content now, filling these out. And yeah, so I'm hoping that you guys are interested in this kind of thing, because this is just another kind of a system. And if you know how to build, you can build anything. So I'm going to show a little bit how I did this. Here, I'll log in and I'll show you what it looks like from the admin or the course owner perspective. That, okay, it's asking for my fingerprint. Submit. All right, now I am logged in. I'm an admin. I'm also an owner of the course. It says that I have purchased the course because it was free. So I've enrolled, or whatever you want to call this. I have obtained this course. I click on it. And now you see it tracks my progress. I can see the percentage of each module that I'm done with. If I click on welcome to the course, I have this table of contents, but I also have a check mark along the side. So you can see all the screens that I'm done. And I would go to like module 1 quiz. I would take the quiz. I would do it until it's satisfactory that I've passed the quiz. And then when I click on next, it marks my progress as done. Okay. And then as we go through all of these, and if I finally click on next at the very last screen, and if all the screens are completed, then the module itself is marked as complete. I'm 100% done. Okay. Let's see, anything else that's, let's go back. I'm also going to show here on the table of contents, because I am a course owner, I do have an edit button, so I can edit the entire course. I'm going to click on edit and go to this screen. Okay, and now I've got a course editor screen, and it has a list of all the modules. I can take one of these modules in this table of contents, and you see I've got these 3 dots. My mouse turns into a grabby hand, and I can click on this and I can drag, I can move the position where I want this module to be. I'll leave it in the same place. I can edit its title. Right now it says welcome to the course. Well, 1 dot welcome to the course. I can also change the URL. It's at /1 right now, but I could change that. It's also got a switch turned on to say it's published. So this course is published right now. If I was to turn off the published property, then the course would not show up in the course catalog. So as the owner of the course, or wait, no. This is the module. Module 1 is published. So I can turn these on and off. So right now, I only had modules 1 through 5 that appeared. And if I go to like number 6, you see it is not published. And I can click on published, and it is now published. So it will now appear on the table of contents, the list of modules. Okay, I am going to click on welcome to the course again, and I'm going to scroll down, and now you see my module editor. Okay, we have clicked on module 1. So the list of screens for module 1 appears. I can add a screen. I can, again, change the order of these. I can change the title of the screen. I can publish it and unpublish it. And then these are a bunch of boxes for the contents of the screen. You see, I have paragraphs. So here it says, welcome to workflow thinking, automate your world. It's time to work smarter, not harder. And I can type in here, I can say new stuff. And when I click away, that updates. So the entire course is really easy. I can change the order of these. I have a delete X for each widget. So I can delete these paragraphs. Let's see. Oh, there's an image widget. So I can click on the image, and it asks me if I want to upload a new image. I've got different properties like attribution of the image. I can say where I got the image. I can give it a caption. I can give it an alt property, which is for people who are especially like sight impaired, so that they can use a screen reader, and the screen reader will read this entire description to them, telling them what is in the image. And I also have a title. So this is if you hover over the image, there's a little, usually like a little yellow pop-up with the title. So each one of these we can fill in. At the very bottom here, I can add another paragraph. If I add another paragraph, it automatically says new text. I can change that, of course. I'm going to delete it. Do you really want to delete this? Okay. I have another type of widget, which is an image. And the third type of widget that I have so far is a multiple choice. And this is used for quizzes. So I'm going to add a multiple choice, and it has new question text. And I can ask, what is the correct flavor of ice cream? And there's a default option that says new option, and I'm going to say vanilla. And I'm going to add another one, chocolate. So now I've got 2 of these, and you can say whether it's true or false. So we could say that both of these are true, or both of them are false, but that's kind of mean to give a quiz to a person where there's no right answer. So I'm going to say vanilla is false and chocolate is true. Okay, so now if I go back to this course, workflows. You now see we have the 6th module is appearing because I published it. I'm going to go back to the welcome to the course. I'm going to, and you also see it keeps track of the last screen that I was on. So the last screen that I was on, that's the screen that appears when I come to this module 1. So it is tracking progress. It is tracking where you currently are. It will bring you right back to there. I'm going to click on the welcome screen, and at the bottom, I should have, yep, there's a little quiz. What is the correct flavor of ice cream? I've got 2 options, chocolate and vanilla. You notice it did mix up the order, and that's because I told it to give a randomized order every time. So no matter how many options there are, it's going to give a random order every time. I'm going to click on chocolate, and it turns green because that is true. And I am going to click on vanilla, and it turns red because it's incorrect. It was false. Okay. So that's kind of what quizzes look like. You can imagine like a screen that is lots of these multiple choice things, and you would give your users just a recap, kind of a quiz for a module. Or you could put a question like right in the middle of the text, just like we did here at the end. So yeah, there's all different kinds of content, well, paragraphs, images, and multiple choice questions so far. Okay. Yeah, I hope you guys are liking this kind of content. So let's start talking about how did I start building this? I would like to give quite an in-depth tutorial on this today. I am what is called a full stack developer. Your stack is your technology that you use for building a solution. Many developers, they have to pick one part of the user experience that they are building. Many people are what is called front end developers. That is people who can create like a web page, like I've designed here, a beautiful user experience. They don't do anything with like manipulating data or saving the data, but what they do is they present it in a very nice way with these different kinds of screens. You might also notice that as I make this more narrow, so let's imagine we're on a more narrow screen. Here, I'll scroll up. Okay. So as I make this more narrow, imagine we're now on an iPad. If I go even more, imagine we're on a phone. So we got rid of the table of contents. The table of contents is now hidden, and the module that you're on is highlighted up here in this little green box with a down arrow. And when I click on the down arrow, here is that table of contents that we've got. Okay, so for a more narrow screen like on a phone, you want to be able to have all of your content changing size. So it looks and feels really good on a really narrow screen. Okay, and that is as narrow as my browser will go. But if I was to click on, right click and choose inspect, I'll get this developer panel, which does allow me to get the screen even more narrow. So you can see as we're getting more and more narrow, things disappear, things are hidden, things shift around, things move around very, very nicely. I've gotten down to like less than 300 pixels wide, and we'll keep going. We get down to like 200 pixels. Imagine you're on like a smartwatch, a really, really tiny screen, right? Well, you would still be able to interact with this course, which is incredible, right? So these are the kinds of skills that you use as like a front end developer. The front end developer is making styles, making things nice, making like icons, really beautiful experience. but they're not doing things with the underlying data. They don't know how the data is structured. They don't know the databases, and they don't need to. They're just doing the front end. The opposite of the front end is called the back end. And that is what people do when they're programming on the server side. The server side is where you manage all the data. You have databases. The databases need to be structured and organized. You need to have the right kinds of tables in your database. And you also need to make a way that your users can interact with your data, either getting the data, modifying the data, deleting the data, creating data. You do all of these things through what is called an API. That is the usual way of doing it. So I had to build my own API so that this page could interact with all the data that's on my server. Okay, so let's see, where do I want to go next? Okay, so I'm going to pull up, I'm going to show you my server. Today is different than usual because I did not use SharePoint. I know a lot of you guys are used to me doing development inside of SharePoint because that's what a lot of corporations have. That's what my clients use. For today, my client was me, and my place where I want to put my user experience, it's not in SharePoint. It's just on a normal web page, like a normal website. So we are working without SharePoint today. And so we need to set up all of our own databases and things. And to do that, I'm going to bring over, I've got another browser window. All right, this is my server that I have. And I'm using an interface called cPanel. Okay, and we're going to use two main things today: the file manager, and if I scroll down, there's one called PHP My Admin, and this is a tool for working with databases. Specifically MySQL database. MySQL is very, very common for databases because it is free and open source. Also, you might notice the word PHP in PHP My Admin. PHP is a server-side language that is, I believe it's still the most popular server-side language that there is because it is free, it's open source, and it is incredibly easy to get started with. So if any of you guys want to start working on the back end with servers, I recommend that you learn PHP first. I know that the modern languages like React are much, much different than working with PHP. It's also much more difficult to get started. You have so much overhead, so many things that you have to consider before you can even do the most basic thing, that it is difficult for beginners. I would recommend that you learn PHP first, and then you transition to something more robust like React. But just for doing something simple, something smaller, like I think this project is quite a bit simpler than like a full-blown social media platform like Instagram or Facebook. So yeah, so learn some PHP. I do have some I do have some tutorials on how to create a basic website with PHP and MySQL. You can get started for free. There are free websites that will give you free server space where you can learn how to do all this. Okay, so I have my own server. Let's go to File Manager. Okay, so the first thing that I did, I go to my public HTML. I have a folder for Automate Office Work. So this is where my website comes from. I then created a folder called Academy, and I had to create an index.php. So this is the very first file that the server analyzes when anybody comes to the website. I'm going to click. Actually, I'm going to. Okay, let's click on Edit Index.php. And all right, so this is a lot of stuff to be going through. It is looking to see like I'm actually going to change the file that we're editing, and instead of index.php, I'm going to go to .htaccess. Okay, so this is one of those interesting. Let's see, is it this? I'm wondering if there was a different htaccess, because you can have h.htaccess in every one of these folders. I'm going to click on views, and let's see if I change this now. .htaccess. Nope, it doesn't exist here. Okay, so I guess it was at this folder level. Okay, so when a user comes to this folder, this /academy, whatever else is after that, we are actually going to send the user to index.php, and we are going to capture all of the directories, the slash, and then the folder names. We're going to capture those, and we're going to then be able to use those as variables. We do not do this if the URL is inside one of these folders, like images, files, assets, JS, theme, whatever. So if you go into one of those folders, we're not going to be picking apart. You're just going to go directly to the resource that is in your URL. But for everything else, we're pointing the user to index.php. Okay, so index.php is like our front door to this website, this Academy website. Okay, so I'm going to go back to index.php. And okay, so it is now, we are capturing all these different things, and we are then going to, like, if the person is going to just an empty path or to index.php, we are going to send them to the splash screen. So that's the screen where they had to sign up. And we're going to send them to the splash screen if they go to /signup/login. If they go to /profile, we're going to load this screen. It's views/profile. So anything where there's something to see, like a new screen, it's going to be in our views folder. And we've got a bunch of these pages. So here's our courses page that shows the course catalog. And then under that, yeah, I've got a screen that confirms, like if you create a new account, we send you an email. You have to then click on that. There's a link inside your email that confirms, and it is going to send like a really random looking string that is in our database. And so this is the page for you to confirm your account, basically. Okay, there is a confirmation code that we're capturing. We're get the confirm, and then when this page runs, it actually we then flip a flag in the database to say that the person's account has been confirmed. Here's the screen for change password. Here's the screen to see the entire course. And of course, before that, there was the name of the course. So like we had courses/workflows. That workflows is captured in this variable called course_slug. And then there is another page. So if you have courses/ and then the name of a course, the slug, /edit, then we run this page. It's edit course.html. Okay, and then here is the module page where you're like actually reading through the course content. I do have an admin screen. I have a terms screen, so like the legal terms, and I do have a privacy screen. And if none of these are matched, we have a 404 not found error, and it goes and it shows you this screen inside the views folder, not found.html. Okay, so let's go. Let's close this. So let's go to the splash screen. I'm going to go to views and go to splash.html. Okay, so this is just a basic HTML page. We are not doing PHP coding directly on any of the pages. I might have done that in the past, but JavaScript has gotten so good now, especially in like the last 5 or 8 years. We now the way to incorporate PHP, if we need to do like database management, it's through an API. So we're going to do an API call using JavaScript. Okay, so because of that, there is no PHP code on here, if any of you know PHP. Okay, so this is a splash screen, and we've got some beautiful CSS. We've got just a little bit of HTML. Just barely any HTML, right? With like this is, what is this? Oh, this is the navigation bar at the top. So this is where you can turn the dark mode on and off. Okay. Oh, there is no navigation at the top of the splash screen. That's right. But we do have here's the logo. Here are the 2 buttons. Let's log in and sign up. Here's that box that says learn how to get automation done. And then here's a box that says browse courses. Okay, so that is all of our HTML. After that, we've got a whole bunch of JavaScript that is going to be starting. We are going to use, I do have a default bunch of JavaScript that runs every time. That's at javascript.js. We also then, on this splash screen, we are able to get the cookies of the person that is visiting. And if they do have a cookie and if their email is present in it, now we know their email address and we know that they are logged in. So we are going to redirect them to Academy/courses. So you cannot go to the splash screen if you are actually logged in. It will redirect you to Academy/courses. You go to the course catalog instead. If you're not logged in, then we turn on we turn off a loading screen and we turn on the splash page so you can see it. There's also a footer that is loaded at the bottom. This footer always says the same stuff. It has like a copyright statement with the year, and it also has some links to our terms and conditions and our privacy. So that load footer, I believe it's coming from, it's defined in our javascript.js, so I can show it there later. Check if the page is /login or sign up. We are looking for these things. If it is login or login/other, then we do a click. We click on the login button. So if a person comes to Academy/login, the splash page runs, and then the login button is clicked so that that pop-up pops up. And the same thing for the sign up button. It goes to the little sign up tab in that pop-up. Okay, after that, we're also checking in their cookies to see if there is a dark mode that has been selected. Let's see. We're also, if there is no such cookie, we are setting the cookie so that we remember their settings for the future. Here is where if there is dark mode set, then we are going to turn on dark mode. Okay, and that's it. That's it for this. I'm going to go to javascript.js, to my JS folder, javascript.js, and just have some basic stuff here. Here's my function load footer, and you can see it does body.append, and it loads in this HTML for a footer tag. Make it bigger for you. It loads in a footer tag, and then we're taking that footer tag and we're loading into it our page that is at /views/footer.html. It is getting the current year, and it is putting that in. We do have an HTML element called copyright year is the ID, and we fill in the current year there. So I don't even have to go every year and keep increasing this. It's already does itself. Here are here's the on click event that happens if you click on login buttons, sign up button, login link, sign up link. Anything else? It runs those, and then it does the pop-up. There is an overlay that comes on to darken the screen, and then over that there's a pop-up that comes up. That login pop-up, that HTML, is taken from another page that's at /views/loginbox.html, and it can automatically click on the correct tab, so the person is seeing the right kind of little screen on pop-up, whether they want to sign up or log in. Yeah, here's just what happens when you click on the different tabs. You go from sign up over to log in, whatever. Here's our function to get a cookie. Here's our function to load the header. So when you're not on the splash screen, there's going to be like a navigation banner at the top. Has like a little logo, has the email address, it's got the name of the site, and maybe a breadcrumb. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it does this all here. It's loading the header, and then you see what happens when we load the header. If there is a cookie called public, so this is the user's like a user ID that we've created. It's called their public ID. And this it's like a read only kind of a thing. So we're not gonna like trust them that they are this person exactly. But if they have this cookie set, it means that they're logged in, and we are going to hide the login and the sign up links because they're already logged in, right? They don't need to see those. We also can then move the dark mode cell. We can move it to the left because there's a whole bunch of stuff that's not there anymore. And instead, to the right of the dark mode cell, we're going to have their email address with a drop-down menu, like a down arrow that they can click on. And yeah, so we are then appending. There's going to be a thing called a user box, and inside of that is their email address. And we're taking their email address from, it's from the cookie. We have their email address inside the cookie. So we just fill that in. And then we can actually look up this user. And let's see. Oh, we're figuring out, are they an admin? So if they are an admin, this is through the API. So you see this at academy/API/users.php. So this is where we start using some PHP code. We're going to send some data to this page, users.php. The data that we're going to send is an action. Our action is check if admin, and we're sending the user's ID, the public key. Okay, and then that will send back some data. That data, we're going to capture it in the data object, and we've got a piece of data at data.is_admin. This is going to be a true or false. It's a Boolean. It says if that, so that means if this is set to true, then we append. You're going to get an extra option in the user menu called admin, and it's going to point you to academy/admin. We also we have a global variable called isAdmin, and So you then get not necessarily rights to be the admin, but you get indicated that you are an admin. So then you do get extra buttons to be able to do admin kinds of things. When you do click on those admin things, though, you don't just send your public ID, you also send, there's what we call a secret key. And each account has its own secret key. So then when you want to do things that actually have like consequence, like I don't know, editing, deleting, creating anything, um, yeah, and even getting to like admin kinds of stuff to be able to view, you do have to send your secret key along with those kinds of actions. This action of like look up, just give me the details about the user. Are they an admin or not? Yeah, tell me if you are or not. I don't need to know your secret key necessarily for that. Um, but yeah, we will check those in the future. So if you're thinking about security, good. It's a good thing to be thinking about, and we do take care of that. But yeah, this is seeing, is the person who's logged in an admin? If they are, give them an extra option in their user menu. Okay. Let's see, anything else that's interesting here? Here is when you click on on your email address, there's a menu that appears below. It toggles on or off, whether, so if you click on your email address and that menu is not visible, it becomes visible. If you click on the email address and the box is already visible, it becomes invisible. So this is what we call a toggle in JavaScript, or this is jQuery also. Okay, here is an event that happens. So if that user menu is open and the user clicks on anywhere else on the screen that is not inside the user menu or inside their own like a user box, then it hides that menu that was up. So click anywhere else on the screen, it'll disappear. Okay, here is clicking on the overlay. So if that overlay is open, it's darkened your screen and you've got a pop-up. If you click on that darkened part, it will close the pop-up. So here is hiding. It hides the login pop-up. Yeah, it also, I've got a checkout element. This is when you go to pay for something. That is, we're bringing in content from the payment system, and it's in its own element called checkout. And it's also kind of a pop-up on top of a darkened overlay. So you can hide that. There's a function to delete the cookie. So like when you log out, we're going to delete all of your cookie information. Here's the logout link. Yeah, it's going to delete all your cookie stuff. And it sends you back to the splash screen. Yeah, just some basic functions for making different kinds of characters safe. This is HTML kind of thing. So here's an ampersand. It's going to convert it to this and amp colon. And then here we decode the HTML element entities and a function for creating a random string. So I often use this whenever we create like all of those different paragraphs and the widgets, the images and things. Each one of those needs its own unique ID so that we can like delete the exact one that we want to delete or rename the exact one that we want to delete. I did choose not to put the actual content into the database. I mean, like one row at a time. Instead, I've got a single row for just one module, and I've got a field for all of the data. And I think I'll show that. Maybe I'll show that next. But each one of these content items needs its own unique ID. And so that's what this function does. It gives me a random string. And you can see here that these are all the possible characters. That's uppercase letters and numbers. I left out the letter I, the letter O. I left out the number 1 and the number 0 because I do realize that if you see this random string and it's got like a capital I or a 1, you often can't tell what that is. So my random strings do not have those. It's supposed to be clear to a person reading these exactly what that means. Okay, and so this does a little for loop. It says for, you start with your variable I being 0. And then each time we go through this, the I is going to increment. That's this I plus plus. And you do it until you do it while I is less than length. And length by default is 8. I could call this function random string and have a different number inside the parentheses to give it a different length, but it's going to do it by default until 8. And we start with a variable called result, which is an empty string. And then each time we loop through this, it's adding another random character to the end of this variable result. And so it's looking at my string called characters. It's getting a random character from this and just adding that on until we get to 8 characters long, and then it returns the result. So I call this random string function, and it gives me back an 8 character long random string. Okay, so that's all for this is all of my JavaScript that is so universal that I'm using it on every single page. On different pages, they then have their own unique JavaScript functions that we are using on different pages. Okay, let's go. Should I show some API or should I show some database? I'm going to show some database. Okay, let's go to PHP my admin. The system will redirect you in a moment. Okay, I've got several databases, and I've got one. It is jeterman_AOW for Automate Office Work. Click on it. Click on that one. No, I don't want that one. I want AOW. Okay, so then on the AOW database, I have many, many tables. I do use this database for the rest of my website as well for all of my Automate Office work. So you do see like podcast. I do have a database table from all of my podcast episodes. This is all of my pages of content. Let's see. I've got contacts. I've got comments. Book Builder was another project I was working on. Yeah, workflow is another item. So yeah, I've got these kind of scattered around, but let's see. I've got a table here for courses. I'm going to browse to that, and you can see how we organize a course. I do have one row of data for a course because there's only one course so far. This course has a unique ID. It automatically gets put in there and it gets incremented every time that there's a new course that was created. So you can actually see that I did have another version of this before. I deleted that one and created a new row, and it has put in ID equals 2. So I cannot change that. It's now there for good. I do have an order, which is 1. And this is so that if we did have several courses, there is an order of how to arrange the courses on the screen. We can rearrange them however we want, in what order. This is the URL, the slug column. That's the URL that we use to get to it. So we go to courses / and then workflows to actually show this course. This course has a title. This course has some owners. So I have 2 different user accounts. These are the public user IDs. of those two accounts that are now the owners. So if one of them comes to the course page, the page will show an edit button for them so that they can edit the course. I do have a description. So this is like a paragraph describing the course. Published, it does say 1. I think it's MySQL to show that something is true or false. False is a 0 and true is a 1. So this says published 1. So it is true that it is published. I have a column for a price. It is at 0.00. You can see when this course was created. There's a date stamp, and there's another date stamp for when it was last updated. We do have an image. So this is a file name for an image that shows up when you go to the courses page. I do have a note about this image, and that is because this image was taken from, it's not my own image, but this is an image repository that allows you to use images for free, as long as you give attribution to them. So I needed to be able to have a note of where this is. And if you look at the code, it actually has a comment telling everyone where I got the image from. So I do have attribution as legally required. Okay. This next field is can edit, and it is set to 1. And this is so that I, as an admin, I can actually lock down a course. So even if you are the owner of a course, maybe I don't want you editing it because, well, people are taking it, right? And so I can turn this on and off, whether the owners can actually edit or not ultimately. I do have another field for module order. So remember, I was able to rearrange the modules on that editor screen. So we keep track of the different orders of them here. And I also have a price ID. So this is needed for my payment system that is outside. On my payment system, there's an identifier for this exact course that they need. And I also have currency is EUR for euros. So when I do give a price, I do need to specify which currency it is in as well. Okay, so that's what a course looks like. Then I have another table for the modules. I'll click on a module, the modules table. Okay, so each one of these, it's a different module. And I had, I guess I have like 16 modules. Wow, that's a lot of modules for that course. Okay, and here's the very first one, welcome to the course. Each one of these, of course, has a unique ID as required by MySQL databases. You can see the course ID that each of these modules relates to, and each one of them is going to say 2 because I only have one course. All the modules are for that one course. So this is the unique ID that was in the courses table, that number 2. So this allows us to relate information from one table to another. This is called a relational database. I then have each module has its own URL. You go to courses/workflows/ and then here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So these are the URLs that you can go to, and it will show this course, the courses page. Or no, not the course, the module. Okay, each module has a title. Each module has a summary. I don't think I'm showing the summary, but maybe the summary is just for me, for my own notes, for at least for now, as I'm creating these different modules. You can see when the module was created, when it was updated. Here it says published. You turn it on or off. And then I've got content. So this is really important. Instead of making a different row for every single paragraph, I instead chose just to make a field called content. And this is JSON formatted data. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to go to jsonlint.com, paste it in, and then validate JSON. And now you can see it a little bit easier. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Okay, so each of my, what is that? Oh, these are screens. Each screen has a unique ID. Each screen has a title, and then each screen has content. And now inside the content, there is an array of widgets. Each widget has a type. So most of these, it says paragraph, and then here's the text for the paragraph. If I go down, I'm going to get to one. Here's one. It says type image. And now I've got a file name. I do have a folder called uploads. And so the files are actually in the folder, but here it's pointing which image we're actually going to be using. And then I've got the attribution, the caption, the alt, and the title, all of this stuff. And here's my multiple choice question. It says type multiple choice. The next item is the question, what is the correct flavor of ice cream? And then here are my options. It says text vanilla, true false is false. And then the next one is text chocolate, true false is true. Okay. And here's whether the module, or is it the module? No, it's whether the screen is published. So you can turn on each screen, can be unpublished or published as well. Okay, so this is how you keep data. You need to know how to organize and structure data at a very deep level. I would venture to say that most people like to use the word data and they have no idea what data means. If you are going straight to AI and you think, well, the AI will just take care of the data for me. Yeah, I have my doubts about, does the AI actually know what you want? You need to have context. You need to be able to store data, arrange data, get the data back. Like what if your generative AI agent doesn't have a source of data? Or what if it has multiple sources of data and they all conflict with each other? They're all different. Which one is it going to give to you? And then even if it's giving you something, how do you know where it came from? And how do you know how it compares to all the other data points that are conflicting? So if you don't know data, it's kind of dangerous and you should go learn some data. Let's see. I am going to show some API. So you saw a little bit of a call to an API. It said like check if user is admin. I think it was check _user _admin. And so I've got a folder called API. And inside of that, I've got several, these are now PHP files because PHP is going to be making calls to the database. The database that I just showed you, PHP can work with that. Okay, so I had one, it was called users.php. I'm going to edit this one so you can see it. Okay. It is only going to allow if the HTTP call has a post in it. So it has to be sending variables. We're going to be sending like the action. We're going to be sending the public key. We're going to be sending all kinds of variables. So you have to be sending, to send variables, you use the post method. Okay, after that, we do have a config.php file. Okay, inside the config.php file, we're going to have a bunch of variables like the name of our database, the username to connect to the database, the password to connect to the database. You want to put all of those in a single file, which is at config.php. I'm not going to show it to you, so you don't get to see my password. But now it makes a connection to the database, and it's connecting with the username, password, the name of the database, as we've put it all in our config.php. If any of that doesn't work, it throws an error, database connection failed. Otherwise, it keeps going. And now it's going to parse the JSON. This is all the data points that we pass to it, like the actions and things. So it's taking that and it's getting all that data. If there is no action because we have to have an action for this API to do anything. We need to know which action we want it to do. If there is no action variable, then it throws an error, invalid request, or missing action. And now we've got a switch, and then it says $data action. So this is the action variable. It's going to be switching it. And then you have various cases. This very first case, it says create _ user. This is for when a user signs up. We're going to create their user account. I'm going to go down to probably the check user admin is going to be more. Here's the confirm case. Here's the login case. Oh, that is quite long. Change password key. Or no, this is check password key. So I think that's confirming or something. Here's the change password case. So this is everything to do with a user account that a user can do. Here's our case, check if admin. Okay, so if the public key is empty, it throws an error. Public key is required and it exits. If they do have the public key, then we set a variable $public key equals, and then I just made it a shorter variable so I could type less. And it says here, look up user by public key. So we're going to be selecting their role from the users table where public key equals, or where public equals public and deleted equals 0. So we only want valid accounts. We're going to look them up. And we're going to do limit 1. So we only return 1 row at max. It executes that. If there is a user row, if there is no user row that was returned, it throws an error, no user found with that public key. Otherwise, it keeps going. And we have is admin equals, and then we're looking up the role field. And if that role field equals admin, then the is admin variable is set to true. Okay. And then we're going to make an HTTP response code. So we're going to send data back to the browser that made this call. And we're going to send them some JSON encoded data. This first point, success equals true. And the next point is admin equals, and then that is going to either be true or false. So then the browser that made the call to this API gets back a data object with this success true and is admin true or false. Okay, so this is a little bit how you work with APIs. Whatever you want your user to be able to do, you have to make it so that they can do it. You have to give them a way to do it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about I guess, how do you go about building quite a big project like this? Okay, so the very first thing that I do is I design the user experience. Like, what kind of pages need to exist? What kind of actions do you want your different users to be able to do? Like, you want one user to be able to go through a course catalog, pick a course, they then go through the screens, and you want them to be able to just take it in and go to the next thing. Another kind of a user, like if they are the course owner, you want them to be able to edit. Another user might be like an admin, and then they could manage all the courses and turn them on or off and whatever. So yeah, once you have that, and also like fill it in with some dummy user data. So you're not necessarily going to be taking stuff from a database yet, but fill it in with some dummy stuff. At this point, you're working with HTML, some CSS to make it look nice. Okay, so you've got basically a demo. It's a static bunch of pages that you can't get them to do anything, but it looks okay. Okay, so you get your style and you get your user experience down. And then you have to you have to create the tables, and you have to think about like what are all the different fields that you need in the tables that will allow you then to capture all that data that you need for the user experience. And then you put in just some dummy data into your database, and then you update your you use JavaScript then in your demo to pull in the data from your database. I know it's still dummy data, but at least you're able to pull it from the database. And then the next thing that you need to do is create an API. And then you go through every single action you want your user to do. You need to create an API, either a file like I did for each category of actions. And then you need to go through each one, and you have to create a separate case for it. So then your user needs to be able to pass certain things to the database. The database does stuff. It either creates a new data row, or it deletes a row, or it updates a row, or it just gives data back. But this is really where it takes a lot of time. You have to give every single person, based on their role, the ability to do the exact things that you want them to do. Okay. And then once you have this set up with JavaScript and an API, now your users never have to think about this code again. You just go through like this course editor page that I created. Like once this is created, course editor, now I can do everything through the browser. I don't need to go to directly edit my code or edit the database records. I can just do it here with switches. I can click on stuff and like click away. I can drag things around to change the order, and my API takes care of everything, keeps all the data managed. All right. I hope that this is useful. I hope that this is giving you a broad understanding of what it actually means to create an app. If you're thinking about coming straight to like just getting some kind of a generative AI tool just to create your own app, it's what I would suggest is that you use it just a little bit at a time. I would say go ahead and ask it to create your .htaccess file first. Ask it what kind of folder structure needs to exist, and you go create the folders. Then ask it like what kind of database tables need to exist. It can give you those. It can even give you instructions to paste into phpMyAdmin, which will then create the database tables for you. You can then ask it for like the basic HTML and some CSS. It'll create it a little bit at a time. Then you can start asking it, like, how do I connect this to an API? How do I create the API? It can often create it for you, but I would caution only do like one thing at a time, or maximum like 2 or 3. You do not want the generative AI doing too much. And actually, if I'm honest, I did use generative AI for a lot of what I've done because I did not want to type hundreds and hundreds of lines of code. So what I was able to do is just go through one step at a time. I asked it to like start with the basics, and then we add on features. We add on one feature at a time. Like, give me the ability to create an account. Okay, now I'm able to create an account. Give me the ability to log in. Okay, I'm able to log in. Now give me the ability to do forgot password. Okay, that is all done. Let's go to, now I want a course catalog that is shown up, right? So yeah, if you know what you're doing, you're going to be in a much better position of building these kinds of things. Yeah, and I am at the position that I do know what I'm doing. So I do think that my advice would be, don't just completely depend on ChatGPT to build something huge and complex, because it is not going to know exactly what you want. And if you don't even know what you want, good luck, right? So learn learn about, I guess, break down the process, break down what it is that you want your solution to be doing, and really learn how all of it relates to everything else, and be able to describe, and then you can interact with ChatGPT or whatever else, and it can really be a really useful tool. I would caution though, like people who think that generative AI knows how to code exactly. A lot of times it doesn't. Like I mentioned, that it'll give me like 80 or 100 lines of code, which is very useful, but often there's a couple lines that it just doesn't get. So what you have to do, it's just work one step at a time. Ask it for the code for the next feature. You plug in that code and you test it. You make sure that it actually works. If it doesn't work, it's actually really useful if you can read through the code yourself and know exactly what's going on, because of course reading is faster than typing hundreds of lines of code. Especially like when you're in a browser now and it throws an error, it'll often give you like the line number, even where something went wrong. And so you can go directly to that line of code and you can just look at that one line of code and you can understand exactly how it messed up. You can either correct it yourself, or you can ask ChatGPT, like, hey, you messed up. Can you do better? And you can see if it'll actually do better. Um, yeah, in my experience, the vibe coding, it's much more useful if you actually know how to do it yourself. But at this point, you're using it because it's faster than typing yourself. Um, Also, just be aware that often the generative AI, it's like overly confident. It'll say like even if I say, "Oh, you messed up, give me the better version," it'll say, "You are absolutely right. Here is the correct code." And I try it and it doesn't work. And it just keeps saying that over and over and over again. While meanwhile, each time it gives me the wrong code, right? So it is overly confident. You need to be able to use it in the right way, use it to make yourself go faster, but also you need to know the basics. Okay, so I'm hoping, I guess this comes back to my story at the very beginning with the lawyer lady that wanted to learn the basics. So I started creating this course to teach her the basics, and while building the foundation, the well, building the platform to even give the course, it's its own master class in how to learn the basics of how to do this stuff. So I really wanted to make a recording of this for everyone, I guess, really to get across, like, how do we build the solutions that we need in the world? And it really helps if you know the basics. So go learn the basics. I hope that this helps. I hope that this sparks some interest in some people. This isn't meant to like completely teach you and now you can go do everything that I do. More, it's like an introduction. You heard some of the things that we talked about. Go learn HTML. It only takes like an hour max to learn HTML. There are tons. Everything we do nowadays is on a computer, especially the internet. HTML is the basis of anything that's on the internet. If you don't know HTML, you don't know how to build for the internet. Like you don't know data. you don't know squat. You don't know anything. You might know how to like open an app, but you don't know how stuff actually works. Okay. You're able to consume, you're not able to create. But hopefully, this will inspire you to go and create. And once you can create anything. The universe is open to you, and you can go and create anything that needs to be created. Okay. So learn HTML, learn some CSS, which is styling, how to make things beautiful. Learn some JavaScript. Um, yeah, don't go straight to React. Um, Maybe learn some PHP first. Learn the language of databases, which what I've used is MySQL. Uh, yeah, and learn about APIs. Learn about the magic. Learn the dance of data, of how data all comes together and relates to each other, and how to really use it and go make that magic. Okay, and so I will continue creating my course on workflows. It's going to be 16 modules is the plan, and my plan is for each of those modules to be about 30 minutes. So I'm thinking all together, this is going to be a giant course on workflows, the basics of workflows, how data flows. Uh, and it should be about 8 hours. Okay. And I'd like to get feedback from my first users. I will create it for free for the first 100 or so users, get some feedback on how it's going, how I can make it better. And then I will relaunch it at a price that I I think will make sense, and I will try monetize that and yeah, get some money. All right, we have been going for looks like an hour and 15 minutes. My name is Justin Turman, Turman. I'm a tech savvy lawyer. I studied computers and linguistics before law. And so when I was a lawyer working in a corporation, uh, yeah, I needed systems and processes that just didn't exist. But I had Microsoft Office. I opened it up, saw what I could do with it, and I started building. I started building my own systems and processes. And so yeah, you have the ability, you have the tools. The tools are developing even more, but at the same time, you need the basics. You need to know what you're doing. You need to use, you need to be able to know how to use a tool, when to use a tool, and also when not to use certain tools because you need to use the right tools at the appropriate time. Okay. Um, Yeah, I'm available as a consultant. Um, I do this for mostly corporate departments, mostly legal departments, and then I branch out to the other departments as well because they're all struggling with processes and tools. They're also finding that you you often can't just jump straight to AI. You have to have your workflows and you have to have organized data to train the AI on. A lot of organizations don't have either of these. They don't have a set process for doing things. They don't have historic data that is organized. Yes, they might have data that is all over the place, unorganized in emails, but that is not very useful to AI. It needs to be able to be trained on organized data that is structured. Okay. So a lot of my clients, they come to me after they've already tried some AI thing that they were overpromised. They were disappointed. And then they come to me and they say, can you just give us something that works? Can you give us something simple that meets us where we are? And so I do. We figure out the workflow. We figure out the tools that they're using. We make the tools talk to each other and like make their work go really fast. There's also a point where we might optimize the workflow. We might say, why are you doing this step? It's completely not needed at all. So let's stop doing that. Or we get the data from the right people. So like instead of me being the middleman and me going around and getting the data, why not put that responsibility onto somebody else? Maybe the requester who's coming to me could come already with all of these data points, right? So we just shift around the responsibilities to where it's correct and the right and appropriate. And then so we have workflows that automatically go, and then they structure and organize and store the data that we need. And after about like 6 months, now we've already got a lot of data. We've got the workflows running, and then I ask the client sometimes a little facetiously, like, okay, do you want to go to AI now? Now you're actually mature and able to use the AI. And they often answer, like, why? What's the point? Like, we already have the workflows automatically working and we have the data so we can get all the reporting out of it. We don't need AI. And so this is what I call the paradox of AI. AI really needs to have workflows and organized data, and you're going to be less successful without those. But once you do have those two things in place, you don't need AI. What you really, really need is the discipline to get those things in place. And if AI is your motivator to go do it, like that's great. But I'm also seeing a lot of companies. There's an MIT report that says 95% of AI pilots are unsuccessful. And what that tells me, it's not necessarily the technology that's wrong, which it could be, but even if it was 100% like good and ready, the organizations are not ready for the AI. The organizations don't have the workflows and the organized data. Okay. And without those things, your chances of success are going to be way down. Okay. So I want to help you guys to be more successful, get the basics in place, really understand what you're trying to solve. And yeah, if I can be of any help, either as a consultant or just give some advice, feel free to reach out. I'm Justin at automateofficework.com. I've got a website, automateofficework.com, with a big book a call button. And I've got loads and loads of articles. I've got this podcast, and I'll be bringing more and more guests on. And I've got books, additional websites, so many resources here for you. If there's anything else that you need, feel free to reach out to me. If you'd like to be a guest to come on, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about how it's going for you. Are you able to start where you are, use what you've got, and do what you can? Okay. My name is Justin, and I hope you have a great day and happy automating.